It is Friday night, we're in Metro Cola, we are with our good friends at Erdinger. We'll be looking ahead to the weekend, we've got to look a little bit back. We're doing this on Thursday night, so it's out on Friday lunchtime because the Reds play on Saturday lunchtime, which means that we're still close to the final whistle of the Merseyside derby, which was frankly utterly horrendous. I am joined by Craig Hannan, John Gibbons and Dan Austin, and I just want to start off this with a rich, fulsome tribute to Dan Austin, who went out Wednesday night. You are my hero. Any prick can go out when we win, but you go out after the worst Merseyside derby in living memory.
Well, what else are you going to do about it?
What a man. What a man.
I was with Jordan, who's behind the camera, which was helpful because Jordan does not support Liverpool.
No. So
we were able to laugh and joke about various other bits of nonsense rather than continue to talk about the football.
The hot walk.
So I had a great time. I really enjoyed it.
Honestly, I'm into this. It feels more Jurgen Klopp than Liverpool's performance. It's fair to say, John.
I went to Tesco because I wasn't sure what to do with myself on the way home. I was like, I can't go home. So I went to Tesco and just sort of bought some bits that we didn't massively need. But then there was Blues stuck on the shelves having a big chat. And I was like, I've shopped there for years. They've never talked about Everton.
I said the same thing to you earlier, didn't I?
Yeah.
They really are. I don't know what time they started the shift, but they'd seen the game.
You never hear them out in the wild, do you?
Yeah,
and then here we are today. They're fucking everywhere.
I think they found the way to town. Huge. I'm sort of all right with it. Craig was telling me, John. Craig was telling me that there's some youngish lads we're looking at our thing and giving the V's and shouting up the fucking toffees. And I'm like, fair play. We put that sign there. They can absolutely fill the boots.
In a blue bobble hat.
In a blue bobble hat.
Yeah.
Oh, tremendous. I mean, it is quite chilly. I'm into it big time. If nothing else, I want to make sure they enjoy it because they're not getting another one anytime soon. And we've got to make sure that that's the case.
Let's hope not. Yeah. No, I mean, it was funny in the ground. Obviously, us three went, and it was funny in the ground because they were almost like, even though from our end they were going to win as soon as they went 2-0. They obviously refused to get excited or carried away until I would say stoppage time. There was a stoppage in stoppage time where they all just
92.
went. Yeah, where something happened, someone got injured or something, and so there was a big break, and then they had a big old sing then, and it was almost like, right, surely even we can't mess this up, and so they had like a big old sing there. But that was like the first time. Like before that, it was like, I wouldn't say it was edgy, but it was a bit like everyone stay cool.
We don't end up looking like divvies here.
Yeah. We've been burnt before. I don't want this coming up like the time they did the purple flare before Divock Origi scored. So yeah, they kept it cool. They did set off a flare though at some point towards the end, and I thought fair play if you're still bringing them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
how many times has he brought that in and not used it?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm still taking it just in case.
You gotta roll with the punches on it, Dan. I think you can't do this without accepting that you're going to get beat. I'm annoyed in that I don't think Liverpool. My biggest annoyance from the game in hindsight, with some time passing, is I don't think Liverpool are prepared to lose big. And what I mean by that is, if when it goes 2-0 to John's point, if that then finishes 5-3 to Everton, if you know what I mean, because we make it mad and we throw everything at it and there's bodies everywhere and they're dragging themselves off the pitch and they're getting concerned, then fine. I just think Liverpool aren't prepared to lose big as that wears on, and I don't like that really.
Yeah, they allowed from the very beginning of the game the entire match to be played on their terms. And to an extent I understand that when it's a derby match and it's away and you're playing against a difficult crowd and stuff like that, maybe like the first 10 or 15 are just kind of naturally always going to be hard. But then they never really righted themselves from that position and stopped it being on their turn. Even the bits when Liverpool were maybe slightly better, like the last 10 of the first half or so, it still felt like it was on Everton's terms. There was still a lot of balls being hooked into the box and headed clear, which they were absolutely fine with. And then it felt from relatively early in the second half, like maybe just take a defender off and put Dan's on, because it won't really be worse. And you've got to score 2, and then it became you've got to score 3. There's no use in even drawing that game really. And it just felt like they never really had. So they never had the belief in their own game plan or ability to go there and dictate the way the match would be played. And then they also never had a belief in, well, we can at least make it a bit weird and change what it is so far into something stranger that they might then struggle to adapt to for 5 or 10 minutes, and maybe you can get one goal and then who knows after that. They just kind of meekly settled into, well, this is their ground and this is the way they play, and we're just going to have to accept that, and never dealt with any of it. Also looked underprepared for the things that Everton were allowed to do. So when you sort of stick all of those three together, underprepared for it in the first place, settle into it and don't really look to change it, don't even try and make it mad for the last half hour or so, then you do get spanked, don't you? If that's what you're going to allow to happen at the stages from before the game, during the first bit of the game, and then once the game's gone shit.
Then we're all going to motel. That's the way in which it's going to work. That's the way in which it is going through all of that. Last sort of thing on it, John, is the stuff that is around the manager with it, because where I think it's difficult for everyone is, it's the sort of performance where if everything's a little bit normal, and maybe even if it's not him in general who's the manager, people are coming out a bit like, I'm not sure here. But it's a completely impotent sentence, because he's not going to be the manager after the next 4 games anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole sort of, didn't like bits of that approach and yada, yada, yada. And I've actually found it quite hard to talk about on the various shows, because you keep having to come back to 1, he's a great man, 2, there's 4 more games and then that's the end of the matter. You know what I mean? Something quite massive needs to happen. Yes, it's going to. He's going. Yeah. Then there's going to be a new fella, do you know what I mean?
Well, that's it. I mean, I find it even really hard to do a bigger evaluation of the players, and, because, I think there will be some changes in the summer, but I feel like in the same way, the new manager's going to want to come in and have a bit of a look, and so he's going
to have his own views.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll watch bits of them, because I'm sure he's watching football, but in big games. But at the same time, he'll want to sort of come in and have a bit of a look. So I'm waiting to see, and some players he'll get more out of, and some players he won't necessarily fancy, and you can try and guess who that is if you want, but you'll always sort of end up being surprised. I remember this is really Anfield Wrap, when Brendan Rodgers came in, and I remember us all in the room in Parsley going, oh, he's going to really like Jordan Henderson, and he tried to swap him for Clint Dempsey straight away. And so you can sort of drive yourself not mad with that sort of thing, but wild with sort of speculation, and like you say, in the summer everything is going to change, and there is going to be a clean slate, and a new manager is going to come in, whether it's Trot or someone else, and he might even be announced by now. I don't think so, but it is going to be sort of very different, and I think that players will be added, but I think it's going to be like a blank slate for everyone, and a new start, and there'll be new tactics, and the new fella will be better at some things than Jurgen Klopp, but he'll almost certainly be worse at other stuff too, and so we're going to have to sort of adapt to that. But that's football, and that's life.
It is football, and that's why I think Craig with it just keeps moving forward now. We'll talk about West Ham in a minute or two. For me, what I want to see them go and get 12 points. They can still get 12 points. By the way, they get 12 points, they get 86, which, when you stop to think about it, is is absolutely mad. They can still get to 86. I just want to see them go and get 12 points now. I want them to stop looking like they feel a bit sorry for themselves. Yeah. I think that's my... And they didn't at Fulham. And it was quite a different lineup, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want the lads who look like, Christ, this has been long and hard. I want the footballers who don't look like they're going to feel sorry for themselves to play football for Liverpool.
Yeah, I think we want a reaction, don't we? But I feel like we said that in quite a few podcasts before quite a few games recently. I think you're right. I think, I want some of the leaders on the pitch who have won things and who have been there and who have done that to grab a hold of things and to grab a hold of the dressing room and get everyone going. I want to see some of the footballers that have been brilliant throughout this season, like McAllister and Szoboszlai at the beginning, particularly in Szoboszlai's case, sort of find his feet again. I want the team to find a bit of rhythm towards the end of the season, because realistically we're probably not going to win the league. But you want that sort of positivity, and I think that's spot on what John said there. There's a lot of talk online and amongst your groups of friends and stuff of getting rid of this player and doing this with that player and so on. But Slot might come in and look at Darwin Núñez and ask him to do something completely different, and then he looks a completely different football. He scores more goals or whatever. So in the short term, I just want to see Liverpool look like Liverpool again. And then we'll worry about the long term once the big fella goes.
There we are, the big fella indeed. We are here with Erdinger in Metro Cola. Fabulous boozer / bar that it is, with a tremendous plant game It's a relentless plant game. It is second to none as far as the city's plants are concerned. Only the Palm House has got it outclassed as we move into the summer.
And it's a much smaller bar.
It's a much smaller bar than the Palm House. Yeah. You can't compare apples and oranges or plants and plants as far as I'm concerned. We're here with Erdinger. It's a pleasure. It's Metro Cola. It's the Friday night. It's Friday lunchtime when it comes out. I'm recording it on Thursday. I don't make the rules. It's the Premier League and the timings.
And Erdinger, please.
Stop! Don't forget the best bit.
We're back, and we're back to look ahead to West Ham United. You're going?
Yeah, me and Craig are going on the train. We obviously fully committed to it last week in and around Fulham, but we're still going, aren't we? I'm looking forward to it. The nice thing about the early kick-off is that we're going to have a sort of a bit of an afternoon in London afterwards, and so hopefully it's a celebration. The pain with Fulham was we had to sort of race back, and it was trains, and Euston was a nightmare. Euston just is a living nightmare. People would have seen it around the world.
The best city in the world to have a pint in between 12 and 6.
Well, that's what we're hoping for. We've got some local knowledge from Dan Morgan, who's found us a little gaff. Hopefully have some Robbie O'Neill who lives down there as well. So I'm looking forward to our Saturday afternoon, and if the Reds can make it even better by doing the business, we're going to have a really nice time.
Definitely enjoying the final days of Jurgen. Hopefully more enjoyable than last night, but like that's the way I've sort of seen it. We, in the future we're going to look back and go, oh, I'd do anything for one more day under Jurgen. Well, we've still got those days as painful as last night felt, and hopefully the weekend will be much better.
Best city in the world to have a pint in between 12 and 6. You happy with that shout? Too big for you?
Probably in the top 3 I've been in.
Go on, what do the two?
Barcelona between 12 and 6 on a sunny day. Extremely good.
Yeah.
And, well, I love Bergamo. We really went last week.
I've heard a lot about you and Bergamo.
Honestly, I've been 3 times and I couldn't recommend it more strongly. You've got a lovely...
I've heard literally the opposite from other people.
I think he's over Egan this year, in that I went
they
with him.
They haven't been properly.
Are they doing Bergamo wrong?
Yeah, they've gone to the wrong bit.
I was there with him.
Yeah, we had a great time.
No, we did, but it's not. There was only 3 boozers.
Well...
You're done by 3 p.m.
The 3 boozers of Bergamo. The 3 boozers of Bergamo.
How many do you need?
It feels like some sort of 18th century play, the 3 boozers of Bergamo. What more could you ask for than them as you're going through? On Saturday, I think they've got to... I think you've got to be careful with words like they've got to, actually, because I think that we act as though in the Klopp-Pomp era, everywhere they went and set their own agenda and everyone had to play to their pace and etc, etc. I just think they need to be able to get into half-time and look at each other and go, good half that, boys. Like, I think it feels like a pretty minimal ask, but they've conceded early so often this season. Even Fulham, I think they play well against Fulham and they're excellent second half, but they concede just before the break. I would just quite like us all to be able to look at each other and go, good half that from Liverpool, first half.
Yeah, or that they've at least done the sort of fundamental self-belief stuff, I think. I thought it was very interesting that the captain, in his interview yesterday, repeatedly referred to them needing to have the will to fight or the will to try and win their challenges. And I thought that was really quite disparaging about people that you play football with, especially given like what they've been over the 8-9 years. So maybe if they just did that, and if they felt like they were all doing that for each other, that would be a start, because they clearly don't feel like that themselves at the minute. And maybe that means some different ones. I think I would just like to see some different players who look, I don't know whether it's tired or what, but who just look a bit more like they've got some level of intensity about them. And that would maybe be going back to a few of them who were playing
in the Fulham game,
like Fulham game, but also maybe February time.
Say his name.
A few of them.
Jane Dance.
I don't even necessarily. Possibly Dan's, but I mean like Clark. I'd maybe have Kwanzaa as the first name on a team sheet. At this point, there's maybe quite a few of them that I'd just be more kind of into watching play football at the minute.
Adrian in goal.
No, not necessarily quite that. I'm all right with the keeper. And then the further it gets forward, the less I am all right with them, I think. But yeah, I think what he said was kind of right. But then I'm also, well, what are you going to do about it? Because that's in your job description at this point. So I'd hope they've had some sort of chat before they kick off against West Ham.
I mean, you'd hope so, wouldn't you?
Where he says, those things I was talking about us doing, are we going to do that? Like, what do we need to do? Does anyone need to be helped to make...
doing in the huddle.
How can I help you feel more confident in doing those things? Because that's what feels like has dropped away a little bit. Just being really meek in a few of the games and playing with a bit of fear on the ball, I think sometimes as well.
I think the fear on the ball thing's really valid, and also
but really strange, because I don't quite understand why.
It's confidence, is it not?
I think it's confidence, but I think it's confidence in one another, and I think that's the key thing. That's what I was sort of saying at times, and what you like, for instance, take a more attacking position. Don't feel like you need to come in and help out. If you know what I mean, back the lads who are behind you to solve the problem, so you're then in a position to win the ball up high and turn and go and all that sort of stuff.
Part of the reason for stuff like that is I wasn't there yesterday, but I've been in the ground most of the time they've played in the past couple of months, and over time it seems like they've stopped communicating with each other. Players will like run into each other or go for the same header or make the same run, and no one seems to be saying you go over there, or just giving a shout to say I'm doing that. And again, I'm not really sure why they'd stop doing that so much, but it seems like a really basic thing for maybe 3 or 4 players to just say, I'm not going to shut up when we play West Ham on Saturday. I'm just going to constantly be talking to people, and it might do the Reds in, or occasionally be a hindrance. I might tell someone to do the wrong thing, but I'm just going to do it because it might be better, and it might lead to other people just kind of knowing where someone's going to be, or knowing that there's a voice behind them who'll tell them when there's a man on, or that you shouldn't be going for this or whatever. And that feels like, I don't know, it's quite fundamental, but it's maybe a starting point for a bit of a reset.
So Liverpool at their best always felt as if they were one cohesive unit, but then it also felt as if there were like little groups of relationships all over the pitch. So you had Robertson, Mane and Wijnaldum out on the left, that you'd have some working together, or and it doesn't really feel like that whenever you watch the team at the moment. I think that's one of the things that I've realised. And on the confidence point, like confidence is everything in football, both as a team, as a unit, and as a single player. And when you don't have confidence, you're not acting on instinct. And it feels like Liverpool at their best always acted on instinct. It was always just without thinking. It was these groups of relationships or these patterns of play that you'd see, and that's what you're not really seeing. I think that is a massive confidence thing.
I think Dan talked about Fulham there. I think Fulham should, what I was hoping would serve as a reminder to them, and it didn't quite happen, but if they won't watch it back and think back to that, a reminder that you don't have to play that well to win a Premier League game, and when you're losing or when you're in a bit of a rut, it can seem like, we've got to do this, we've got to play brilliant, and you don't really, like, listen, that'd be incredible if they go there and tear them apart, but it's not actually, you don't actually need to do that. What we did at Fulham was kick the ball in the goal and not make too many mistakes at the back. There was obviously the period just before half-time where they're sloppy and they get punished for it, but they still go on and win because they're doing good stuff. And scoring a goal isn't as hard as we're making it looking against Everton, against Crystal Palace. Stopping the opposition scoring isn't as hard as we've made it look as well. It's just better decision making. It's just cooler being in the moment. And the 3 goal scorers against Fulham, it is a real shame that only one of them takes the pitch against Everton, and that's a Trent who scores from a free kick. And obviously, like, I was going to say, you can't fashion those opportunities. I mean, Everton had a good go in that first half, didn't they? Winning free kicks. But in terms of someone's shooting distance, you know what I mean? You can't just sort of will that in. Gravenberch just strokes one in, like a person who's not been around all this kind of stuff, and then obviously Jota, but he doesn't pick Gravenberch, which I understand, by the way, in that certain situation, and Jota's sort of not available. It was a real shame, but I think they just need that reminder that it's not. We need to do things better, but also it's not as hard, it's not as complicated as you're making it look. Really, at the moment, they're making it look like the hardest game in the world. When they're at the best, when they are at the best, it looks like the easiest game in the world.
As part of it, then, John, I'll come back to you actually on it. Dealing with the idea of West Ham, they're pretty sad as well. Say what you want, it's the saddest game in football. on Saturday lunchtime, and this is where, again, I don't think it takes much. I think West Ham might say the same thing, but I don't think it takes much from Liverpool's point of view to remind West Ham. They've only won 1-6. They've gone out of Europe in that same time frame. Yes, against a good Leverkusen side, but they've only won 1-6, and they've been shipping mad goals all season. They got beat 5-0 at Fulham, got beat 6-0 at home by Arsenal. You know, all the way through the. I think they're a side who can feel pretty down on themselves. They've shipped an unbelievable number of goals. Almost to your point, if there's a ground in this country where it's not that difficult to score a goal, it could well be West Ham's.
Yeah, they're in a similar-ish position to us, and not in terms of league position, but you know, they went out the Europa League in exact same round as us, so they've had all those Europa League games.
Looks like the manager might be moving on.
Yeah, exactly. So there's they're interviewing the same manager as us in one point in your man from Sporting Hannan, and so like, you know, they are in a bit of a similar situation really, where they're in this sort of strange flux, and they're probably having similar conversations, saying like, oh, it'd be a real shame if our season sort of peters out from here, or you know, they're probably saying, you know, we could get 10 points on the last 4 games, or we could get 2. Do you know, they'll have them sort of similar feelings really, and so if there is a place where you can go, let's get on top of them and let their insecurities run wild. Do you know what I mean? And in games like this, sometimes, you know, being the away team isn't the end of the world really. I think maybe a bit edgy if we played at home on Sunday, whereas away from home, you know, hopefully it's more like the Fulham away end, which was great, and the Everton away end, which was mad. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like negativity from sort of, you know, I felt like before we'd even sort of kicked off. You know, I feel like that is you know, hopefully going to be there on Saturday. And you know, just on the team as well, I feel like from quite early on, you know what type of Liverpool we're going to get. You know, Fulham, they controlled it. You know, and obviously they had a bit of a wobble, but you know, they look like they were at the races against Fulham, and you hope, you know, 10 minutes into West Ham, you think, yeah, we know what we're about here, and as long as we can, you know, get the goal that our good play deserves, then they should win. You're hoping to see that.
They're going to have a nice time.
Yeah,
because that was a big pause. That.
Well, what people who don't get to go all that often might not know is like the football is secondary. You can go and get battered watching Liverpool away somewhere and have a great day with people that you like, and you've had a laugh and been to good places for a drink and all that sort of thing. So no matter what, and also of all the people I know, I would trust them to have a good time if Liverpool were to go there and get twatted for whatever reason. What will happen in a match, Christ knows at this point. I thought the same of Fulham. I thought, especially having conceded that equaliser, and in the manner of the equaliser as well, where they sort of shot themselves in the foot, I thought they could have just really felt sorry for themselves at half-time and come out and lost that game 3-1 or something. And he didn't bounce back from it, came out really confident. It was the best half they played in a really long time, I thought, and it felt like, you know what, just keep winning here and see what happens, and take that attitude forward, and then it went away. But then maybe the attitude they had at Everton will go away and they'll turn up with something else. I think it will depend entirely on what the manager sort of sees the last few as. Does he sort of think, you know, this is no longer about winning anything anymore because the 2 chances have gone away? So do I just want it to be as kind of carefree and fun as possible, and I'll maybe play some of the young lads and you know, sort of emphasise that that's a big part of my legacy here, is there's, you know, 3 or 4 18, 19-year-olds here who are going to be a big part of the future, or does he really try and play some of the ones who've been there with him and done everything into a final bit of form for a bit of a collective last hurrah? I think that's almost a sort of philosophical question for him to weigh up more than anything, more than you know, which one's better for points or that.
I'd like him to go on the air with John and Craig in the afternoon in London. Like, I think that's what he should commit to, and then work it all back from there. Do you know what I mean? Like, that would if I was him, that's what I'd look to do. Say to everyone, you get the bus, I'm going to hang on with the boys.
What is your plan? Because Stratford's terrible.
We're going to go towards Hackney.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's better.
Towards Hackney.
Islington, Dalston ways.
Yeah.
You'll have a good time.
Yeah, we're going to drift towards Euston. Not particularly quickly, but not particularly slowly either.
The amount of times I've ended up in like hotel casinos around West Ham after full time is a big disappointment.
It's mad how they get you away from the ground.
So there's a place that's a 15-minute walk that feels like just about far enough away to be like, you know, not too ram, but just enough near enough that you can obviously walk it. And Dan Morgan's DJ'd there in the past, so he knows it. He said he came on at 9, and then at 9:30 the owner went up to him and went, "Excuse me, have you got any techno?"
Fantastic.
So
what time's the last train?
There we go.
So I feel like it's a bit of us.
It's a bit of them. It is West Ham United versus Liverpool. Everything you need on the Anfield Wrap afterwards, up to and including hopefully strong updates of what John and Craig have been up to in a fantastic afternoon. Liverpool should go there, have a nice time, win, and then go to the best city on the planet to have a pint in before 6 o'clock. After 6 o'clock though, it can go fuck itself. We've been with Erdinger, we're in Metro Cola, we're in the best city in the world to have a pint in after 6 o'clock. We'll see you later on.